I'd like to call to order the Highland Park Board of Education Hybrid Workshop Voting Meeting today, Monday, February 24th, 2025. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the Highland Park Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting, setting forth the time, date, and location to be submitted for publication to the Home News Tribune and Courier News and posted on the board's website at least 48 hours in advance of this meeting. Members of the public who wish to address the board will be given the opportunity to do so before the board adjourns for the evening. Roll call, please.
Dr. Beatty,
Here.
Ms. Cassell-Dunn,
Here.
Dr. Coleman, Dr. Pixley, Ms. Prus. Here. Dr. Schoolman, Ms. Stanio,
Here.
Ms. Vardaman. Here. Ms. Voorhees.
Here. We will now recess to executive session. Be it resolved pursuant to the Sunshine Act NJSA 10:4-12 and 13, the Highland Park Board of Education will now meet in closed session to conduct a student HIB hearing, HIB, personnel, and HPAA contract ratification. These exemptions are permitted to be discussed in closed session in accordance with NJSA 10:4-13. Information regarding the board's closed session discussion will be disclosed to the public as soon as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. I move that we recess to executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. You can't say aye. She's not going to play.
Good. Okay. We are now going to reconvene to regular session. May we have roll call, please? Oh, I have to move it, right?
Yes.
I move we reconvene to regular session. Sorry.
Second.
It's like, there's a lot of people here. Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. Beatty,
Here.
Ms. Cassell-Dunn,
Here.
Dr. Coleman.
Here.
Dr. Pixley. Be online.
She's not gonna be.
Okay. Ms. Prus,
Here.
Dr. Schoolman, Ms. Stanio,
Here.
Ms. Vardaman,
Here.
Ms. Voorhees.
Here. We will stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. For our communications since our last meeting, we've had some communications regarding cooperation with law enforcement agencies, school safety, support for LGBTQ+ students, concerns about executive orders, and concern about a former board member. For number 9 on our agenda tonight, we have the approval of minutes, the hybrid voting public meeting and executive session of January 27th, 2025. I move that we approve those minutes.
Second.
Dr. Beatty,
Yes.
Ms. Cassell-Dunn,
Yes.
Dr. Coleman.
Yes.
Dr. Pixley, Ms. Prus,
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman, Ms. Stanio,
Here. Yes.
Ms. Vardaman.
Yes.
Ms. Voorhees.
Yes. Okay, we're going to go to our student representative report.
Hi, everyone. For Irving welcomes Baharati Carla to introduce our K and first grade students to the art and relaxation of yoga last week. Each class participated during gym last week, and we look forward to our family yoga evening on Thursday. Next week is our Authors Across America celebration to promote a love of reading and recognizing those authors who have had a profound presence for our students. We also look forward to surprise readers and high schoolers coming to read. Our yearly school service project to celebrate the 100th day of school is our pet food collection for a local animal shelter. The students and staff have brought in photos of their own pets, and we've exceeded our 100-can goal. Way to go, Irving. The students have been learning about famous Black Americans and their contributions to writing, art, science, and inventions each morning on the announcements and in their specials. It's been a great month of learning. We are taking preschool open registrations through March 28th. Kindergarten registration will begin soon after. Please check Irving's website for more information. And finally, Irving will have invite-only conferences on the evening of March 11th. Now for Bartle. Black Excellence in Education Celebration will be February 28th. Peaks and Valleys will be presenting Black Excellence in Education to celebrate Black History Month. The week of March 3rd will be School Social Worker Week. We would like to acknowledge Ms. Morales and all the incredible ways she supports our students, staff, families, and the entire Bartle community. On March 6th at 8:30 a.m. will be Coffee with the Principals. Families are invited to join Mrs. Knapp and Mrs. Baldizone for an opportunity to connect and learn more about all the great things happening at Bartle. The first week of March will be Read Across America Week, where we'll celebrate with guest readers visiting our classrooms and Spirit Days highlighting how literacy impacts our lives. March 12th will be Spring Evening Conferences. These conferences are by invitation only and will be scheduled by teachers as needed. March 19th will be the Talent Show. We can't wait to see our students shine on stage as they showcase their amazing talents. Career Day will be March 26th. Visitors from around the community will speak to students about different careers, and students will engage in activities to explore future career choices. Finally, the Kids Heart Challenge. Bartle is wrapping up the Kid Hearts Challenge with the American Heart Association. So far, 38 students have registered on the portal, which provides health, SEL, and nutrition activities for families. Plus, 4 students and 2 staff members have learned hands-only CPR. For the middle school, Mr. Farmer and Mr. DeSigli just completed the Black History Month poster project and gallery walk. Students were able to research and show off their hard work last week in another successful Black History Month 6th grade project. Please take a walk down the first middle school hallway if you would like to see some of their beautiful and creative artwork that the students created. Highland Park Middle School participated in the New Jersey Regionals of the National Middle School Science Bowl at the Princeton Plasma Physics Lab on Friday, they participated on Friday the 21st. A total of 16 schools from all over New Jersey, Delaware, Eastern Pennsylvania, and selected counties in New York participated in this tournament. After a winning start, our Team A placed joint 7th after losing to the teams that finished joint 3rd and joint 5th. It was great to see the students compete strongly with other of the best teams in the regions. The 8th graders from the club will compete for their place in the High School Science Bowl team next year, while the returning 6th and 7th graders are looking forward to participating in the National Science Bowl competition the next year with more zeal than before. Next, the climate and culture of Highland Park Middle School has been kicked into high gear. HPMS celebrated the 100th day by looking for 100 pictures of the HPMS owl, aka Mr. DePayne, around the school. There was a 100s chart where students and staff could stick the pictures to when one was found. The Hoot and Holler initiative began where staff and students could send positive messages, birthday wishes, or say thank you to someone who made a difference in their day. These inspirational and fun messages were read every Friday over the loudspeaker, ending our week on a high note. We will be honoring Women's History Month in March by highlighting the wonderful women of HPMS. There are so many great women in our school that play an integral role in the lives of our middle schoolers who deserve to be celebrated. Each day we will honor one of our owlettes by reading a small bio over the loudspeaker. This Friday, HPMS will have a winter dance for all 6th and 8th graders. There is a DJ, photo booth, and snacks. We encourage all students to attend. Thank you to the parents and guardians who have put so many hours into making this night special for our school. The Class of 2029 Program of Studies Night will be held this Tuesday, February 25th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the high school cafeteria. Our 8th grade students and families will learn about all things high school, including course offerings, support services, sports, clubs, and activities. Also, during advisory this past week, some 9th grade students went into the 8th grade rooms to answer questions any of them may have about life in high school. Thank you to Dr. Donovan, Mr. Richardson, and Mix Press for developing this special night for the upcoming class of 2029. And thank you, Mr. Lobianco, for arranging to have some of the ninth grade students come back for a Q&A session with our eighth graders. Students in action are going to start volunteering at Zone 6 to organize food in the food bank and deliver food to families. Mr. Lobianco will be putting together the HPMS Career Day. Community volunteers and other guests will be coming into the school to discuss their career path and what it took to get where they are. And finally, for the middle school spring conference is March 18th by invite only. Students have an early dismissal that day. Now last, the high school. In February, we're celebrating Black History Month with a week full of music, delicious food, and fascinating history lessons from February 24th to 28th. Mark your calendars for our amazing spring musical in April, The Prom, which is sure to dazzle audiences with 3 show-stopping performances, April 4th, 5th, and 6th. There are also some great fundraisers happening, like the Pan Can Wig fundraiser, where you can donate to see a staff member rock a crazy rig for the day. Our Model UN team braved the weather earlier this month to attend their conference in Washington, D.C. We're also collecting clothing donations for refugees in Center Hall. Everything collected will support the Reformed Church of Highland Park. The counseling department celebrated National School Counseling Week from the 3rd to the 7th, highlighting all the vital academic, social, emotional, and college/career support they provide. Mark your calendars for the program of studies night on the 25th. If you have a rising ninth grader, and students will pick their freshman courses that following week. Finally, the Teen Center is hosting a free dinner and eye-opening program for parents on March 26th called Hidden in Plain Sight. Come learn about teen drug trends, signs of experimentation to watch for, and take an illuminating look inside a mock teen bedroom. It'll be an informative night for adults only. As always, there are so many enriching events and opportunities happening at the school. Now for some sports updates. Girls basketball is 9-11 and finished 3rd in the blue division heading into the playoffs. Vanessa Kohler became the Highland Park girls' all-time leading scorer. She passed a record of 1,528 points set by Nikki Inzano 36 years ago in 1989. Boys basketball is 12-8 and finished 3rd in the silver division heading into the playoffs. Wrestling is 18-14 and 4th in the blue division. Noah Berlin Langston became Highland Park's first county champion in over a decade when he won the 215-pound title on January 25th. Winter track is having a great season with Sharat Sabni's 55-meter dash and Robert O'Connell 800-meter run qualifying for the Group 1 state champions next week. And that's all.
Thank you so much for that very extensive report. There's so many wonderful things going on in all of their buildings. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you. We'll move to our superintendent's report.
Check. Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I want to piggyback on that was an amazing report. And when I look out in the audience, as Anna was sharing, a lot of this couldn't be done with the amazing staff and students that we have, and many great faces in the audience, and I hope many more online. So I'm excited for tonight to celebrate a lot of those exceptional members of our school community tonight. So I have a little program. So first I am going to invite up our high school team to spotlight 2 well-deserving students. And then I'm going to move on to each building for recognition Teacher of the Year, Educational Service Professionals of the Year. And unfortunately, we have some mid-year retirements, but we're going to celebrate the next journey in their lives and all their dedication to the Highland Park community as well. So that is our program of studies, and a huge shout out and thank you to my amazing secretary, Miss Susan O'Dotto, for putting this together tonight. Thank you. So Dr. Donovan, I'd like to call our high school principal up to the podium. I believe is Ms. Hodge and Ms. Halpern there? Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So I am reading on behalf of Ms. Hodge. I am proud to recognize Brittany. Better? Okay. I feel like normally I can project. Okay. I am proud to recognize Brittany Lima. Her dedication and positive attitude have truly set her apart from others in her choir. She is a student who inspires others to be their best while herself, continuing to grow and lead her section. Whether it's in the classroom, in her interactions with choir members, or being a helpful student leader, Brittany consistently demonstrates kindness, responsibility, and a strong work ethic. Congratulations, Brittany. Keep on shining your light of goodness and inspiration. You can come up. And now I'm going to introduce Ms. Tova Helper to read the second nomination.
Hey everybody, hi. I'm really excited to nominate Samantha Milstead, yay, who I call Sam. Sam is our International Thespian Society president. She dedicates thousands of hours to our drama club. She's been a part of the drama club for the last 4 years. She's the hardest worker, and she makes sure to create an environment of inclusivity within the drama club. Everybody feels welcome, especially when they're around Sam, and she works very hard to make sure that the underclassmen feel like they're really an important part of our club. So Sam, you're awesome and we love you.
Let me get my itinerary here. Okay, so next I would like to call up our amazing Irving principal, Miss Megan McNally, to recognize some deserving staff at Irving.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to take it out. It's just easier for short people that way. Pull it off of there. All right. So I have the pleasure of talking about 4 amazing people tonight, and I'm so excited. And every time I try to shorten my, my presentation, it gets longer, but I really, really tried this time because each of these people are so amazing and deserve this dedication and really deserve to hear how wonderful they truly are. So I am going to start with our Teacher of the Year for Irving, who is Mrs. Lindsay Blevins. I see her back there. You can, wave. There you are. There you are. With her wonderful family. So it's really an honor to congratulate Miss Lindsay Blevins as Irving's Teacher of the Year. For over a decade, she's been at Irving. She's been an outstanding educator. Her dedication, her passion, her care for students, unparalleled. And the students who have been taught by her are the lucky ones. I'm lucky to be her leader, but the students are the lucky ones in her presence, as are the staff that work in her classroom. Thank you for being here tonight as well. So what makes Mrs. Blevins so special? It's really her ability to meet each child where they are at. You hear about it all the time. She understands it. She understands that every single child in our care is unique and her care is unique. Whether it's tailoring projects to fit students' individual interests or adjusting assignments to suit their abilities, she ensures that every single child is engaged and most of all excited about learning. One example I can think of, and that was in one of her nominations, was there is a little boy in her classroom who was having a huge difficulty coming to school. There is nothing that connected him. She couldn't get him to come in, and she knows that he absolutely loves race cars. So what does she do? She decorates her class in race cars and does everything she possibly can to get this child into school and to love being with us at Irving. That is one example of something she will go out of her way to do just to make a child successful and comfortable. Her commitment to making learning meaningful extends beyond just the content of her lessons. She consistently adjusts the difficulty of assignments based on each student's needs. And for instance, when students come into her classroom, yes, they're working on writing their names. Of course they are. They're little, right? But you'll see different approaches for different learners, which is what I really keep pointing out. One might be tracing their name. Another might be matching letter clips to spell their name. Another might be using a whiteboard and a marker. But again, she constantly finds ways to meet the diverse needs of all of the students in her class. She makes every child feel capable. So she doesn't just work with students. She's very deeply committed to her own personal growth. She participates in workshops, and not only does she attend the events, but she loves working with others. And most recently, she is in one of our preschool disabled classrooms. She has learned tools of the mind. She shares her wealth of knowledge, and she is truly invested in all of our students. I've seen her go into teachers' classrooms. She provides feedback on routines, classroom management, and she always has kind and thoughtful advice. Her dedication to her students extends way beyond the classroom as well. She constantly reaches out to parents on her own time, provides them with resources to help their child succeed at home. Whether it's through her class blog or talking to parents at pickup, there is always a strong sense of communication and commitment. But perhaps what stands out the most about Mrs. Blevins is the way she builds relationships with everybody. That is a strong pillar at Irving. It's all about relationships, and it's relationships with everyone, students, parents, and staff, and most importantly, her students. She creates a classroom environment where every child feels valued, respected, and it really shows through everything she does. At the end of the school year, one of my favorites, Mrs. Blevins creates a heartwarming video that brings our entire school community together, reminding us all of the joy and connections that we've built over the year. She makes it a point to include everyone. She has a checklist, and even if you don't want to be found, she's finding you. Even if you don't work in the building, she's finding you. And you will be in that Blev Gap production. It's a work of genius, and the entire school looks forward to it every single year. Her rapport with students is truly special. She makes them feel safe, loved, and like one of her own children. So, Mrs. Blevins is more than deserving of the title of Teacher of the Year, and it comes with a nice parking spot too. Her unwavering commitment to her students, her innovative teaching practices, her professional growth, and her deep connection with the entire school community that goes far beyond her classroom setting. And the entire school community make her a truly exceptional educator. Mrs. Blevins is a shining example of the impact one teacher can have on the lives of her students and colleagues, and it is a privilege to have you at Irving. So congratulations to Lindsay Blevins. Okay. Next up, Irving's educational services professional of the year. I'm sorry about that. All right. So it is a true honor to stand before you today and celebrate an extraordinary individual who embodies the very essence of dedication, compassion, and excellence in education. Please join me in congratulating Mrs. Satna Sharma on being Irving's Educational Services Professional of the Year. Raise your hand so we can see you. So Mrs. Sharma has been a valued member of our team for many years, and in that time, she has proven herself time and time again to be an exceptional paraprofessional. She's one of those rare individuals who doesn't just meet expectation, she consistently exceeds them. Her contributions to the classroom are immeasurable. She's the kind of person who sees what needs to be done, takes action without being asked. Whether it's supporting our teachers, assisting with lesson plans, or helping students navigate their daily routines, she is always present, always prepared, and always willing to go the extra mile, even when it's not easy. Her attention to detail is remarkable, and she has a memory that never misses a beat. She remembers everything from students' needs to important school events, and even the smallest details that make a huge difference in the daily success of the classroom. And like I just mentioned, one of the largest things that stand out about Mrs. Sharma is her proactive nature. She doesn't wait for directions. She takes initiative. She doesn't ask anyone to do anything. She just does it. She gets it. She knows what the students need, and she takes the wheel and goes. She regularly asks how she can improve and seeks out opportunities for professional growth, but she also offers new ideas and solutions to problems. She has a constant drive to do better for our students, and it shows in every task that she takes on. Your impact on the students, however, is where you truly shine. Every day you come to work with the goal of making a positive difference in their lives. I don't think I've ever heard a complaint out of you ever. She builds strong, trusting relationships with each child, making them feel valued, safe, supported. You have patience, compassion, and you're always trying to assist students with their academic goals, helping them to overcome personal challenges, or really just being there to lend an ear. The teacher you work with commented on how you always work with students who may struggle, for instance, with fine motor skills or social interactions. You help them to make incredible progress toward their individual goals. You show exceptional care in identifying any type of impairment or any need a child may have outside of their goals. You always make sure that students have snacks and water, and you're always thinking about their well-being. That is your ability to nurture and guide students, big or small, but you've had an impact on their lives. It's not just inside the classroom where Mrs. Sharma's influence is felt. She is an active and involved member of our school community. Every year for Diwali, she always is ready and willing to share her expertise. She has created a slideshow for our school family, and she shares it with all of the students, all of the staff, and she truly wants to teach about her own culture. She always is looking for ways to contribute to our school. As your principal, I can tell you that working with you is a real privilege. You inspire everyone around you, whether it's colleagues, students, or me personally. Your professionalism, dedication, and heart are unmatched, and I feel very lucky to have you as part of our team. Mr. Sharma, you are truly deserving of the Educational Service Professional of the Year Award. You make our school a better place with every ounce of effort you put in, and I cannot thank you enough for all you do. So congratulations. All right, now I'm going to move on to Irving's two retirees that I feel so lucky to talk about. The first is going to be for Miss Helen Radke. I see you over there. Stand on up. You deserve this. All right, so tonight we gather to celebrate the incredible career of a truly remarkable educator. Miss Radke, who has dedicated 32 years of her life to shaping the musical talents and spirits of so many of our students here in Highland Park. This moment is bittersweet. While we're excited for Helen as she embarks on the next chapter of her life, we know that her absence will leave a void that is immeasurable and impossible to replace. Helen has always been deeply proud of the impact she has had on her students. She didn't just teach them how to play instruments or how to sing. She truly instilled in them a love for music that transcended the classroom. She gave them the tools to not only appreciate music, but to truly feel it as a person. Many of her students will tell you that one of the greatest joys of being in her class was the ability to recognize a piece of music and immediately recall the name of the composer. Whether it was Beethoven, Bach, or a contemporary composer, Helen took great pride in fostering this awareness within her students. She delighted in seeing them connect with music at a deeper level, and that connection was long after she left the classroom. Helen wasn't just passionate about music, teaching music theory, technique, or performance. She worked tirelessly to make each orchestra show and sing along a memorable experience for her students and for our families. Year after year, she poured countless time into rehearsals, fine-tuning every detail to ensure that every performance was one to be proud of. Whether it was a grand concert or an intimate sing-along, Helen's dedication and enthusiasm were always evident in every note, every gesture, and every encouraging word she offered. She loved teaching our first graders how to play the guitar and perfecting orchestra notes with our beginners at Bartle. Helen, you have been the cornerstone of the Irving tradition for 32 years. Your unwavering dedication, tireless work ethic, and deep love for teaching have created a legacy that will live on in every note played, every song sung, and every student who has had the privilege of learning from you. The legacy you leave behind us is not just in the music, but in the lives that you've touched, the hearts you've inspired, and the memories that you've created for our students. You're a part of Irving in a way that will never be replaced, and we are so incredibly grateful for everything you have done for our students. As you step into retirement, Helen, know that you leave behind a profound mark on this community. You've given so much of yourself, and we are better for it. We are the lucky ones. While we will miss your dedication and endless enthusiasm, we are excited for you and the new adventures that await for you. You've earned this moment of rest and relaxation, and we know that whatever comes next, you will bring the same love and passion you brought to us every single day. So from all of us, thank you, Helen, for everything you've given us. Your influence will remain with us always. Every class, every note, every performance have been a chapter in your incredible journey. I leave with you one last thing. Keep your heart in tune, and may your life always be filled with music that brings you joy. Just think, you do not ever have to use the computer again, unless it's a choice. Oh, I will miss our chats and showing you how to do SGOs every year. But we'll always remember our love of kitties and hearing about all of your gigs. And thank you for sharing us and those parts of your life. Happy retirement and all the best. Congratulations. All right, last up for me. Last but not least, Miss Linda Moran. It's your turn. All right, so today we gathered to celebrate and honor the incredible career of Linda, our beloved school secretary of 25 years in the Highland Park School District. While we are excited for your well-deserved retirement, we will surely miss your energy, professionalism, and the warmth you brought to our school each and every day. You have always been a shining example of what it means to be both helpful and professional. Whether you needed a form, a quick answer, or simply a word of encouragement, Linda was always there, ready to assist with a smile. She consistently went above and beyond in her role, not only helping the staff, but also supporting and guiding other secretaries in our school community. Linda's dedication and passion for her work have been unparalleled, and we could always count on her to give her best, even if she didn't feel well. What truly stands out about Linda is her special connection with the students. She's always been a fun and approachable figure to them, whether it was helping them with a problem or just brightening their day with her warm presence. Her role as an after-school site assistant and site manager allowed her to build lasting relationships with students and their families. She was more than just a staff member to them. She was a true mentor and friend. Linda's leadership extended beyond her day-to-day responsibilities. She served as a building rep, a treasurer for HPEA, and a member of the negotiating team during several contract negotiations. She always had the best interests of her colleagues in the school at heart, fighting for what was fair and right for everyone. And that is something I always adored about Linda. She always cared for others. Her commitment to supporting her coworkers and advocating for the entire school community speaks to her character and to her integrity. Linda is a true creative soul. She loves crafting, especially making beautiful cards and scrapbooks. Her artistic touch has brightened many a day. And we all know, especially at Irving, how much creativity she always put into all of her creations and time. At school, she loved doing anything creative with the Cricut machine. She was down to help any staff member with anything creative. She worked on invitations, programs, or she just teased me about how I liked all of these online design programs that she can't figure out, but that's all right. It's okay. Linda's heart has always been with the students and families of Highland Park, and it's clear that she has formed deep, meaningful connections with them. Whether it was through her work at the school or her personal involvement with the families, she's always been there offering help and care. And of course, who could forget Linda's love for country music? Her dog, Blakey, guess who he's named after? Blake Shelton himself, is just one example of how her fun personality shines through in everything she does. Full of joy, warmth, and fun. Even though we tease you, it's okay. Linda, your presence has truly been a gift to all of us. Your kindness, dedication, and passion have left a lasting impact on the school and the district as a whole in all of the roles that you have had. And your absence is felt by everyone who has had the pleasure of working with you. You have made a difference in so many lives, and we're all incredibly grateful for the years of service that you have given. We wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. We hope it's filled with all the joy and relaxation you deserve. You can go to as many country music festivals as you can, sleep in, clean out your closets. And remember, you only have to take care of yourself now, not everybody else. I'm so appreciative of your dedication, and I feel blessed to have worked alongside you for so many years. Happy retirement.
Thank you, Ms. McNally. Now I'd like to call up the principal of Bartle Elementary School, Ms. Jennifer Knapp.
So I am excited to be here tonight to honor 4 of my staff members, and you'll always be my staff members, even though you are retiring and leaving me. How dare you, Kathleen and Kim? So first up, we're going to honor our Teacher of the Year, Jamie Boop. It is my absolute pleasure to stand here tonight and recognize someone who is truly exceptional. Our Teacher of the Year, Miss Jamie Boop. Now, before we get into all the well-deserved praise, because she does deserve a ton of praise, Jamie, I do have to ask, how in the world did you get this award when you're never working? Never working. That's just a little inside joke between me and Boop that we say all the time. And I did make sure she wasn't going to be embarrassed if I did it here. The truth is, Jamie is one of the most dedicated, hardworking, and impactful teachers in our whole school. She just makes it look so easy, which is why I tell her she's never working. Jamie, you are a phenomenal ABA teacher. The way your students grow and thrive in your classroom is nothing short of incredible. Just the other day, we were talking in the conference room about how we wish we videotaped her students when they came in September and how they are now. The growth is just amazing, and it's all because of you, Jamie. You create an environment where every child is seen, heard, and supported. You have a gift for breaking down barriers, celebrating progress, and turning challenges into triumphs. The work you do changes lives, not just for your students, but for their families as well. You're also an amazing colleague who has mentored countless teachers and made them just as amazing as you. Your patience, expertise, and unwavering dedication do not go unnoticed. And even though you never work, somehow you always manage to create engaging lessons, provide endless support to your students, and be an incredible colleague to all of us. So Jamie, while we may joke about your lack of work, tonight we're making it official. You really do work, and you are more deserving of this award and this honor. Congratulations for being Teacher of the Year. We are so lucky to have you as part of our Bartle family. Let's give a huge round of applause to Jamie Boop.
That'll work either.
Next up is our Educational Services Professional of the Year. Tonight, we recognize an extraordinary individual, Mala Ramreka. We recognize Mala, who has made an incredible impact on our school community. Mala's dedication, compassion, and support make a difference in the lives of our students every single day. Mala is a vital part of our team, supporting our autistic students with patience, care, and an unwavering commitment to their success. She approaches each day with a deep understanding of her students' needs, helping them navigate challenges, celebrate achievements, and gain confidence in their abilities. Her ability to connect, encourage, and uplift those around her is truly remarkable. Beyond her work with students, Mala is a valued colleague always ready to collaborate, support, and contribute to a positive learning environment. Her dedication does not go unnoticed, and the impact she has on both students and staff is immeasurable. Today, we take a moment to express our gratitude and our appreciation for all that she does. Mala, your compassion, hard work, and commitment to our students make our school a better place, and we are so fortunate to have you as part of our Bartle family. Please join me in congratulating Mala, our ESP of the Year. Okay, now on to our retirees. I'm gonna start with Miss Kathy Schmid. I am excited. Yeah, she's right there. I am excited to celebrate Kathy, who has been an essential part of our school community for the past 15 years. If you know Kathy, you know that she is always willing to step in and help wherever she's needed. Whether it was in the classroom, the office, the cafeteria, or the hallway, Kathy was there ready to lend a hand, a listening ear, or a much needed word of encouragement. Her patience, kindness, and dedication have made a lasting impact on both students and staff alike. But let's be honest, if we really want to honor Kathy today, we have to acknowledge the true love of her days as a paraprofessional, bus duty. I know it was your favorite, Kathy. I know. Nothing quite compared to those peaceful moments of bus attendance, directing students who somehow forgot what they were supposed to do, even though they do it daily. And let's not forget the pure joy of enjoying every student, ensuring every student made it onto the bus or to the correct activity, because who doesn't love a good adrenaline rush at the end of this day school day? Kathy, while we know you'll miss those treasured bus duty moments, or at least we'll pretend you're going to miss them, we also know you're leaving behind a legacy of kindness, teamwork, and unwavering dedication. You have touched many lives. You've definitely touched mine. And our school simply won't be the same without you. As you step into this well-deserved retirement, we hope you get to enjoy all the things you love: relaxation, family, those new spa treatments, and most importantly, never having to do bus duty ever again. Let's all give a big round of applause to Kathy Schmid. Thank you for your amazing 50 years. 50 years. Be careful.
It's my chin.
Oh, that's nice.
All right, and last but not least, Kim Crane. Yes, yes, yes. It is truly an honor to stand before you today to celebrate an incredible educator. Kim Crane, after 23 years of dedication to this district, shaping minds and inspiring creativity, she is now embarking on her well-deserved retirement. Kim brought passion, energy, and commitment to the young artists in her class. Her love for art was infectious, and because of her, countless students and staff, she helped us with our paint nights, not only learned how to paint, draw, and be creative, but also how to express themselves and see the world in new ways. She had a way of making every student, no matter their artistic abilities, feel like an artist. Kim, your impact on Bartle, this community, and most importantly, your students will be felt for years to come. While we are sad to see you go, we are also so happy for you as you begin this exciting new chapter. You have given so much of yourself to this district, and now it's time to enjoy life's next adventure, hopefully with plenty of time for your own art, relaxation, and all the things that bring you joy, including your goats. I will truly miss all of our office chats where we solved all the problems. But I am also looking forward to my personal guided tour of the grounds for sculpture as soon as the weather gets warm. On behalf of us all, thank you for everything. You will be greatly missed, but your legacy will remain in every stroke of creativity you inspired in your students. Congratulations on your retirement. And I promise I'll keep that kiln running.
Thank you, Ms. Knapp. Next, I'd like to call up, I believe Mr. DePayne is here with us in person, our acting interim principal for the middle school. And Mr. Odato, is Ms. Brady online for us? Okay, and welcome Ms. Brady, who is on leave, but tuning in from home because she really didn't want to miss this. So come on up. And I'm going to pass the mic to, I'm not sure you or Ms. Brady, or Ms. Brady, are you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you see me?
No.
No, I know. I can't see myself.
No, so I have Mr. DePayne up at the podium speaking, standing with me. So if you want to speak, and then we'll do the pictures.
Yeah, he looks enough like me, right? He can
Yes,
he can
yeah,
sub in for
exactly
me.
like you.
Very good. All right.
All right, go ahead, Ms.
Hey,
Brady.
Mr. DePayne, just move your mouth and I'll fill it in. So I first I wanted to thank you, Dr. Susko, for allowing me to come tonight to speak, because it is tricky because I'm on leave, but I there's not one part of this that I think of as work. This is a tremendous honor that I look forward to every single year. And so I was kind of negotiating my way to get in here because I was like, I gotta come. This is like such an important day, not only for these two great recipients of this, but for me as well. It's a very proud moment. So I thank you very much for allowing me to be here tonight. So I am going to start with Mrs. Tsai, our teacher of the year. So Jen Tsai actually started her career in Highland Park during her student teaching. And I was just talking with her earlier because I wasn't sure exactly where she had done her student teaching. It was not in the middle school. However, when there was an opening at the middle school, she applied and she was well qualified. And so she came to the middle school. But after her first year, I was sure we would never see her again. I was very sure of that, because what I failed to mention was that her student teaching was at Irving in kindergarten. So the middle school was quite a shock. But Miss Tsai persevered, and that's really what makes Jen just a tremendous professional, a wonderful teacher, and a valued friend of mine. Miss Tsai has gone to, embraced, and implemented every single professional development she's ever attended with fidelity. And I say that because it's easy to sit at a professional development and nod your head and take notes, but it's it's far harder to actually take all the information and use it and apply it and see the growth that these professionals are recommending. Her instruction, her classroom community, and her students' growth reflect everything that she's learned. And it's such a big deal that I just wanted to make sure that it was noted. For years, I have been asking Miss Sai to turnkey what she's learned because she does it so well. And she would always kind of politely decline. She was like, no, I don't know. And I'd say, oh, come on, Jen, what's the big deal? You're great. You're such a great teacher. Let's do it. And looking back, I realized that it was a big ask. So I do apologize because Jen was all of 22 and I'm asking her like, hey, go tell these senior colleagues who have been teaching for 30 years how to teach correctly. Like, no big deal. Go ahead. And so I can't really blame her for declining. But as she's become more senior, she's leaned into these moments. And I really could not be more proud of the leader that Jen has become. And that's within her department, within the school, within the district. So I think that's a tremendous thing for her. So what's wonderful about both the Governor's Teacher of the Year and Educational Service Professional of the Year award is that it comes from the entire Highland Park community. So even though I'm on the committee and there's several members of the staff on the committee, we don't choose it. It comes from the students, it comes from the parents, it comes from the staff. And we just have the opportunity to read the nominations. So this is just one of them, and it may seem simple, but it really embodies what every single nomination said. This nomination said, Miss Sai deserves this award. I now like math because Miss Sai makes it fun. Miss Sai is also the kindest teacher I have ever had. I want to start with math being fun because that just sounds like an oxymoron to me. But coming from an English person, which I am, it seems like an impossible thing. But I've sat in that class. I have watched her. I've lived and breathed this experience, and it's transformative, Jen, and you should be proud of every single thing that you do in that class. I sit here these days doing math homework with my kids, and I'm like, God, this is awful. And I'm thinking, gosh, where's my Miss Sai to jump in here and do a little, trash get ball or whatever, and dances and all these wonderful things that bring out the wonderment that is math and people that don't really have that initial appreciation. So Miss Sai, you do it for not only the students who like math, but for all the students just like me in your class that maybe don't. And that's what makes you so very deserving of this award. In addition to making math fun, Miss Sai's kindness came up in every single one of the nominations. Mr. DePayne and I talk about kindness every single day at the middle school on the announcements when we're speaking with the students, and Ms. Sai embodies it. And so, Jen, you make our job easy because you breathe what we're preaching, and students truly respond. When students see their adult role model being kind, they want to follow, and they do. So we're indebted to you for that, and we thank you. Jen, your professionalism, dedication, your ability to make math fun, and most importantly, your pure and genuine kindness make our school a better place. I truly could not be happier for you or more proud of this accomplishment. So congratulations to Mrs. Sai on this so well-deserved award.
Since you can't see, we're ready for your
Can't
next
see.
Miss Brady.
Someone has to tell me what's going on. My God.
Next.
Oh, you're next. Okay, are we on? All right, Mr. A, where are you? I can't see you, but I assume you're there. So Mr. A, I am so proud of you and just of everything that you've done and given to us here at the middle school. I say this and I look back and I think, oh my gosh, how did we do this? But Mr. A and actually Mr. DePayne came to Highland Park the same year. And so it was kind of the three of us and we hit the ground running and I was like, all right, let's go for it. And I had no idea how it was going to go. But the three of us have become quite a team in ways that I really couldn't anticipate or imagine. We rely on you, Alex, in ways that we didn't know until we started. And you make the day run incredibly smoothly and so much better than we could have imagined. It sounds simple, but we start our day at arrival and sometimes even earlier for a meeting. Alex monitors the halls, answers every single call from us, teachers in the main office. You check in with Mr. DePayne and I throughout the day. You work with the students who are escalated or need an ear to talk to. And then we get to lunch, which in middle school is like a day in and of itself. So like that's, we've already had our first day. Now lunch happens. That's an entire extra day on there. We regroup after lunch and without fail, Mr. A is called to an emergency. So I don't think he's ever finished a lunch that he gets lovely lunches and we're always jealous, but we can finish those for you if you need us to. And then the end of the day, which again in middle school is like another day in and of itself. So now we've had 3 full days merged into one day. And he is just nothing but professional through all of the craziness and wildness and excitement of a middle school day. Mr. A has made many relationships with almost every student in the middle school. He knows every single student's name, which I find to be just wonderfully impressive. But also things about their lives outside of school. The boys love Mr. A as a mentor. They give him high fives. They ask him to play football at lunch, which he happily does. The girls, they love Mr. A, but they also respect him and they follow his directions. It's been absolutely amazing to watch him build these relationships and to make a difference for so many of our students. Mr. A is also our family liaison, and so he's delivered foods and goods to families in need. He does wellness checks if students haven't come to school. He's delivered important paperwork to families who we can't reach. And it's another way that Alex has been able to build these relationships and trust with the students and their families. So this is just a little side story, but my dad last year came to a volleyball game that we were hosting. It was like the staff versus the students. And I introduced him to everybody who was there. And he said to me, of Alex, he said, "That's who I want to know is here as your youth safety specialist." And when I hired Mr. A 2 years ago, the middle school was coming out of a particularly difficult time. And in truth, my dad was worried about me. I was looking for a youth safety specialist who would be able to provide safety to every single student and staff member at Highland Park Middle School, which is not an easy job. But Alex has been the absolute perfect hire, and you have given me a peace of mind that I didn't have for some time. And in truth, Alex, you have given peace of mind to all of the parents of all of the kids at the middle school, including my own. So I always tell Mr. A to tell his parents that they raised him right, but today I get to say it to you myself. So to Mr. A's parents, you raised him right, and we are eternally grateful for the professionalism, dedication, and heart that you instilled in him. No one is more deserving of being the Educational Service Professional of the Year. So congratulations, Mr. A.
Ms. Brady, are you still there?
I am.
I was going to say 2 quick things, and it's nothing, I don't want to take away from every word that you have said today. But I also just want to reiterate 2 things to Ms. Sy and Mr. A, is that, the little things matter the most sometimes to us. So I know, it's not always broadcast or showcased, but one thing from Miss Tsai that I appreciate is that she provided me with every single schedule for every single day that we have in the middle school. There's 7 cycle days. There's an advisory 7-day schedule. There's a delayed opening. There's an early dismissal. There's a regular. I have 28, I think, posted on my wall of all the schedules Mrs. Tsai has provided for me and the staff here, and I truly do appreciate. That's the little things that go volumes. And I still do forget what day we're on, but I always have that wallpaper on my wall so I can reference it at all times. So I appreciate that, Miss Tsai. You do so much more, but I don't want to take away from Mrs. Brady. And for Mr. A, he is like my shadow, and I appreciate him being there at all times. He's there to give me the garbage picker if I need to go down to the cafeteria. He's there to get on the bus so we can do attendance. He is like the right-hand man, and I do appreciate everything you've done. He knows what I'm about to do before I do it, because half the time I don't know what I'm doing. And with this transition right now, it's greatly appreciated that when he's there, he reminds me of many things. So I do appreciate your efforts. I'd like to say that, as Miss Brady spoke so highly of you and how you're the protector I thought I was of the building, but I will gladly take a back seat if that's what it means. And Mr. A, go for I know you've tried to sit in my seat many times when I'm not here to take over. But I do appreciate every time you're here, and the building is safer when you're here. So we appreciate both of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DePayne, and thank you, Miss Brady. And last, I'd like to call up representing the high school, our high school principal, Dr. Christina Donovan.
Okay, it worked that time. Hello, everyone. It is with great excitement that I stand before you today to recognize a truly remarkable educator, a dedicated K-pop mentor, and an exceptional member and owl of our school community, Keisha Steffen. We are here to celebrate a teacher who embodies what it means to be committed, fearless, and passionate. Someone who not only excels in the classroom, but also inspires students, colleagues, and me. This teacher is known for her unwavering school spirit, always showing up with enthusiasm, positivity, and a smile, whether it's cheering on students at sporting events, organizing a robotics competition, or running upstairs to make sure our seniors can sing to Mariah Carey. Her energy is infectious, creating an environment where students feel motivated and eager to succeed. But truly, what also sets this teacher apart is their fearless approach to teaching science. Whether in the classroom or this spring, grading AP exams, she is encouraging students to ask questions, explore new ideas, and approach problems with curiosity and critical thinking. Your passion for nutritional science is evident, even though today I'm pretty sure you baked bread with plastic wrap. She goes above and beyond in ways that extend beyond the classroom. As an advisor to the robotics club, they dedicate countless hours after school and on the weekends to help support students. In fact, I seem to recall that the robot lost its arm at the beginning of the season and now is fully functional, so congratulations. She helps students understand that the value of learning goes far beyond textbooks. It's about shaping futures one challenge at a time. Your ability to balance innovation in the classroom with leadership and extracurricular activities is nothing short of inspiring. And so today, I would like to congratulate Miss Steffen, our Teacher of the Year. Thank you. Hello, family in New York. Okay, and now I'm excited to talk about a truly remarkable individual who has made an undeniable impact on the lives of our students, and that is Mr. Eric Davis. While Mr. Davis may not always seek the spotlight, his tireless dedication and unwavering commitment to students shined through every single day. You are a true champion for the students that you work with, showing up every day with a smile, ready to support, guide, and encourage. Your persistence is unmatched. Much like a runner training for a marathon, you're steadfast, determined, and focused on the long journey ahead. You never give up on our students, not even when they're not on your roster. You will step up and help us. Your work ethic is a perfect example of how dedication and hard work pay off. There's a saying apparently in running, it's not about how fast you go, but how far you're willing to push yourself. You embody that spirit in everything you do. You consistently go above and beyond. You ensure that every single student has the support that they need. You offer academic help and sometimes just lend an ear when somebody needs it. You are an inspiring example of commitment occurred when you tutor students, when you go above and beyond every day, both in the classroom and outside. This is clearly not a job for you. It's a mission. We would like to congratulate you for being our Educational Specialist of the Year, Mr. Davis. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Dr. Donovan. I would be remiss if I didn't just say, I know everyone is excited probably to get some very delicious cookies and water and take some pictures. But thank you all for coming. There is nothing that warms my heart more than these celebrations. Every day, day in, day out, the work that the board does, the work that administration does, the work that our staff does, the work that our caregivers do, and more importantly, the work that that the students do, and that we do it for them. And I think everything that I heard tonight is just, pays tribute to all of that hard work and dedication. So I am immensely grateful for each and every one of you, and more importantly, thank you to your families for lending so much time because they all go above and beyond. So I'm really truly grateful. Thank you again. So for those that want to schedule for the board meeting that is going to happen, we're just going to take a brief interlude to congratulate all of our deserving staff and students, take some pictures. There's some light refreshments. Please help yourself. We'll take a few minutes and then we'll reconvene to our regular program. Thank you. And there are boxes for any of our recipients to take their awards if they want the is not over. So yeah, get me again. I will try to keep this brief. I know we have a lot to cover tonight. Tonight I wanted to share out the bi-yearly data from good night, everyone, SSDS. So just a reminder, SSDS stands for Student Safety Data System. This report and online system collects two types of information. The first is incidences of violence, vandalism, harassment, intimidation, or bullying, weapon offenses, substance offenses, restraints, seclusions, and other incidences leading to removal from school. Or the school environment. So this, we would report any time a student has to leave the educational setting, whether it's for in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension. Our SSDS report also reports HIB trainings and programs. So again, just to give you a timeline, we report it twice a year. So this is the first half of the year, and then usually by the beginning of next year, I'll report the second half of the year. So something important to note when looking at the data, I know I've talked about this, but just a friendly reminder because we only talk about it twice a year publicly. But there can be, the way the data is reported, it's reported by multiple offenses for one incident. So a single incident can consist of multiple incident types and multiple offenders. So sometimes you'll see the number could be high, but it could just be two incidences, but having a lot of offenders. For example, a student might make a criminal threat toward another student with while holding a knife. This would be entered in the SSDS as a single incident of criminal threat and weapon use. So sometimes when you see it both places, they might not even be separate incidences. And we talked about the multiple offenders and multiple incidences. Some of the common definitions: a fight is a mutual engagement in a physical confrontation in which the offender understood that the confrontation might result in bodily injury to the party. This does not include a verbal confrontation or a minor confrontation, such as a shoving match. Each participant must be classified as an offender. So it's important when our administrative team are categorizing something as a fight that it has to be a mutual engagement of a physical confrontation. An assault is when a person attempts to cause or purposely, knowingly, or recklessly causes bodily injury to another person. Physical restraint is the use of personal restriction that immobilizes or reduces the ability of a student to move all or portion of their body. So we do have to report when we use restraints, and we use handle with care. So only staff members that are trained in handle with care are allowed to potentially restrain a child. So usually what happens for a physical restraint before that, the handle with care training does require de-escalation techniques, verbal de-escalation techniques first, to try to calm the child down. And if that doesn't work and they become a threat to themselves or others, we may have to engage in a physical restraint, and we have to report those. A simple threat, attempting by physical menace, verbal threats to another in fear of bodily injury. The offender knew that the threat could make the victim fearful. So that would be cause for a simple threat. And then other incidences leading to removal, any incident not listed in the guidebook that takes place on or off school grounds that result in a disciplinary removal for at least one half of the day or more must be entered. So here is our report from September to January 1. So at the high school, we had total incidences of 7. 2 of them were violence, 4 were substances, and 1 was a confirmed HIB. Of those total, the ones of violence, both of them were fights. So of the category of list that I gave under possible violence, they were both fights. At the middle school, for the first half of the month, there were 14 total incidences. 4 of them were violence, 7 of them were substance abuse or use, 3 of them were weapons, and 2 were confirmed HIBs. For the middle school, of the 4 violence incidences, 1 was assault and 3 were fights. And at Bartle, there were 5 total incidences, with all 5 being confirmed HIBs, and for Irving, 0. Any questions?
No questions?
that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to move to public comment. This is our first public comment of the evening. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved this time for your comments. Board policy number 0167 establishes and regulates the right of the public to participate in public meetings. We'll start with in-person first. Is there anybody here for public comment? And Angela, how many people do we have online? 10. If someone online would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. And with no hands raised, we are going to close public comment. And we will move on to our curriculum, our committee reports. We'll start with curriculum and instruction.
Hi, everyone. Curriculum instruction met on the 13th. We talked about a number of things. There were some course approvals, both the workplace experience, career exploration, community-based instruction, and it was the same small change, basically making these flexible in terms of credit offerings, which allow for different pathways to participate in these classes. So those was a fairly minor curricular change. We also looked at benchmark data in ELA. It's important to know that the benchmark data is not comparative across time points, although there are sometimes skills that are measured across those time points that we can compare. They are measuring standards that were covered in that quarter. And so I think that's important to know, but we were able to compare certain skills across those time points to see how we were doing compared to last year, as well as across benchmark assessments. So at Irving, for example, first sound fluency for students in the well below category improved from 37 to 24%. That was a skill that was tested across those time points. And above went from 7% to 24%. So those are large gains in the skill that was assessed across different benchmark assessments. In first grade, we had more students maintain their level of proficiency than a year ago. So while we maybe didn't see as much growth in certain things, we last year we saw a drop across benchmarks, and this time we actually saw more things maintained. Oral fluency was one of the reasons for seeing a drop last year, and we didn't see that this year. Nonsense word fluency, proficiency, which is correct letter sounds, increased from 56% to 64%. Whole words read proficiency increased from 48% to 67%. So we're seeing some nice gains in some of the things that are actually assessed across the benchmark periods. And something else to note is that 30% of first graders who were in intervention were exited this period in ELA. So that's showing that the intervention is successful in moving students onto grade level. So that's something else to note in addition to the benchmark data. At Bartle, changes were more moderate. So in oral reading fluency, we saw a change from 51% to 53%. Last year we saw a drop in that. So we're seeing small gains to maintaining again. So this is similar to what we saw at Irving. One of the ideas about why we're seeing kind of more maintain is that the teachers are getting more comfortable with the curriculum. So that's something to note as teachers get even more comfortable with foundations and some of the different programs that we use, that we might see more growth next year. Something to kind of note is oftentimes you don't see much growth the first year. You might even see a drop the second year. You often do see maintain just in terms of educational change. And so third year, as teachers really become expert in something, you can often see gains. So I think that's something to shoot for, and seeing this kind of maintenance or small gains this year, that makes some sense. In fourth and fifth grade, we use the MAP. It's comprehension focus in ELA. So rather than the kind of more foundational skills, it's assessing something a little more complex. And if any student is below grade level, they also use Acadia to assess those more foundational skills. So they are being tracked even as they move into intervention and get additional support for foundational skills, even as the benchmark assessment isn't necessarily assessing that. MAP was new to Bartle last year, and testing has been going, I think, much better this year in terms of the number of students actually participating in the test, taking it more seriously, and so forth. And then something of note is that 13% of students were moved out of intervention in ELA at Bartle. They are also seeing the most students in intervention across the district. So that's something to know. At the middle school, they use MAP as well. There was overall, I would say it was maintained. There were some skills, maybe there was more of a dip, and some there was growth. But they also exited 31% of students from intervention at the middle school. There's a issue with intervention at the middle school in that oftentimes they have to either choose ELA intervention or math, and scheduling those interventions is a real challenge. The district's exploring a possible pullout model and other options for how students, if they do need support in ELA and math, how they can get both of those supports rather than kind of making a choice, or, one benchmark period going to ELA, the next one math, and how to best structure that schedule wise so they get what they need. We also looked at a new policy around public and executive sessions. We're still workshopping that, and I know some of the other committees were also looking at that. We think we have an option that's a little more straightforward, but that is something that will be coming up. We also reviewed field trips. Just a couple things to note. High school counselors were going to Woodbridge for a college fair. There's a competition for mathletes. And the teen center is taking students to a Broadway theater. And those are just a few highlights from a number of field trips. So that concludes what we discussed. A couple things that we're looking at moving forward is to look at some of the professional development and to see the kind of long-term vision and look across different professional development efforts across the district. And also getting an update on start time, also some of the times in terms of scheduling for band and orchestra and those kind of things, and just seeing where the district is at with those issues. One thing to note is that last year attendance for band, even though it was early, was great, and the survey students showed they preferred doing it before the school day as opposed to after, which would limit their other after school activities. So that's something that we did find out last year, but we will check in with where we are with that at the next meeting. And that concludes my report. Any questions? Oh, yeah. I expected questions.
Caffeine or something.
Could use a little caffeine today. So for curriculum instruction, we'll be voting on field trip requests, which I mentioned, approval of HIBs. We had one unconfirmed and one confirmed. Approval of special education parent advisory group meeting dates. Those are listed in the agenda. Approval of sidebar agreement with for Bartle Green Team and the tech crew. Okay, and approval of the course revisions, the three I named. That is it. I guess now questions. Oh, do I have to move them now?
No,
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 no.
no.
Okay.
I have to do something that I missed. No questions for Dan. We had forgot, we were so excited to move into the meeting. We forgot to mention that we were going to be tabling number 12, which is the contract negotiation memorandum of agreement with the HPAA. So that's going to be tabled for this meeting. Sorry about that. Okay, equity and excellence.
Yes, Equity and Excellence met on February 20th. See here. So we first reviewed or discussed a couple of policies that we had previously looked at and had questions on. The first one being policy 5533 around student smoking, and the committee at our last meeting had a question about whether students can be fined by police if they're found smoking on premises, school premises. And Dr. Susko followed up on that with the HPPD. Per the MOU, if a complaint is filed in court, it may be subjected to fines. However, there is no language that says a fine is mandatory, which of course, this is not anything that the district would be implementing. It's just we wanted to know, again, what the implications or possible implications would be for students, so that students are also aware of that. Then we talked about a little bit of follow-up on the spectator code of conduct, policy 9163 or regulation, I guess. Dr. Suska reported that she had reviewed regulations at other school districts around sportsmanship, and issues related to spectator participation at events. And not so welcome participation in some cases. Some minor adjustments were made to the language of our code, our regulation around sportsmanship, participant conduct. For example, when it comes to the offenses, when a person has a second offense, they get a 2-game suspension. I believe that's correct, as opposed to initially a 4-game suspension. I'm sorry, my notes are a little confusing. I think maybe the first offense is the 2-game suspension. The second
We
offense
thought originally 5, but now we're saying 4 as seems more.
for the second offense,
the
correct?
second
That's
offense,
right. Okay. And then the second offense, 4 games, originally 5. And then the third offense was initially remainder of the season. But now we're thinking subject to more disciplinary actions, leaving it a little bit more open for flexible options on a case-by-case basis. So again, just some regulation language adjustments based on what other districts are doing around these unfortunate misconduct of activities in student games. Let's see, we talked about policy 9322 around public and executive sessions and remote participation. This is a board member specific policy. And as Dan had mentioned, other committees have been looking at this policy as well. We discussed codifying a stance on remote participants here amongst ourselves, voting on executive session items. So if a board member is participating in a board meeting on any given night remotely, and we know that they're not able to, in those cases, participate in the executive session, we talked about then the complexities around voting on issues that are discussed in executive session. So Dr. Stuska is going to look at adding language to the regulation around that for us to review. We talked about also the high school FAFSA requirement, the new DOE requirement that all students have to file a FAFSA as a graduation requirement. High school counselors have already held a FAFSA night, and that was in January. They have a plan for day and evening events, as well as one-to-one sessions on how to complete the FAFSA for families, caregivers. A waiver will be provided for parents who do not want to complete the FAFSA. And additional language support will be provided for parents whose preferred language is not English. So there are efforts underfoot to ensure that there's additional support around this new requirement, which is something that the committee had discussed previously. And then we looked briefly at the January disciplines data and just looking at the out-of-school suspension and in-school suspension incidents. At Bartle, there was 1 out-of-school suspension.
around an ongoing issue, and it involved a safety risk to a student. At the middle school, there were 3 incidents, a fight involving multiple students, and an instance of physical aggression. The high school, there was 1 in-school suspension for vaping, possession of paraphernalia, and a hip-related incident. And Dr. Suska just reported that Elizabeth Ismoa and her team are working on monitoring the data on an ongoing basis, and she will be sharing information on the support that is being provided to students, particularly those who are bound with paraphernalia, and how we can support them more therapeutically. And then lastly, we talked about a resolution to support students and families targeted for immigration enforcement. And that is a resolution that I would like to actually read into our Equity and Excellence Committee meeting notes and as an item to vote on. We never usually get to vote on anything, but we did discuss this resolution I think in our past public meeting, that we wanted to really put this forth to just make it clear where we stand as a district on our resolute support for our position around supporting all of our students, in particular our students who could be targeted for immigration and customs enforcement raids. So I would like to read that into our notes, that everyone here at the table has had a chance to review the resolution that Dr. Suska did bring forward for us to modify as we see fit for our district. We had it go through legal counsel as well, and made some adjustments to the language accordingly. So on that note, should I read it now, or do I have to wait until we are voting?
I would wait until you're voting.
Okay.
Unless you want to read it now and have any comments. Does anybody have any comments?
I don't think anyone does, but if you all are comfortable, I'll wait till we are ready to vote.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you all. Any questions?
I actually had a question about what you were talking about the FAFSA.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering when the other workshops or information would come out about that, because I mean, I know I finished the college application process and I submitted my FAFSA back in December, which brings me to 2 questions. I'm wondering what sort of deadlines you were considering for these workshops, because I know, for example, a lot of my schools require the FAFSA to be submitted by this Sunday. Or even before, like some of them required me to submit it by the end of December. So I was just wondering like what deadlines you considered or are still considering for this.
Yeah, well, that would certainly be for the high school counselors, and I don't know what their plan is. I do know that think it depends on what you're applying for, like early decision, regular decision, and then that's going to determine when your FAFSA is due. But that's a good question, Dr. Suska. I don't know if you have any information.
Yeah, I don't. We can follow up with Dr. Donovan, but I do know the ones that are happening soon are for our juniors for next year. So they're planning already for next year. And I know Dr. Donovan has full speed ahead to work on some spring and summer work for some early decisions, early actions. There's language
Right.
around that it's
Yeah.
been a long time since I've
Both.
thought about. And I know that in the past, that timeline wasn't really considered for those kinds of planning. And that's something that's very important to Dr. Donovan. So we'll work on that as well. But the dates that are upcoming are for juniors to get a head start on it.
So I guess the question then though is for our current, like in your case, but you said you're fine, you got yourself, but for our current seniors who are, reaching those deadlines or a threat of, or potentially missing a deadline, I think that's a more kind of immediate.
Yep. And I believe, I'd have to just quote, but I think it starts for 2026 and beyond. So,
yeah.
but if anybody needs help.
Although it is still important, I think, to just really have that
Correct.
education about
Correct.
those dates, because we have talked about that in the past, where
Correct.
some students,
Yes.
families may not even be aware of the date.
Absolutely.
Do not want to miss the FAFSA deadline.
Yep.
One thing we did talk about in the meeting is that the FAFSA application process this year has drastically changed. So I mean, the time that takes to get through the FAFSA application has been cut down dramatically. I mean, like 15 minutes at most. And so that is, it's a huge difference. And I'm speaking from years of experience. I couldn't believe it until I went through it myself. So that's a good thing. And, now that it is required, at least make it a little bit more user friendly and not like you're filing your taxes again. That's how. So,
And I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this or if this is in the program for next year, but a lot of schools have come out with something called the CSS, which is like for the private universities to file the financial aid if you need that. And I'm not sure how many people knew to do that or did it in addition to the FAFSA. I'm not sure.
So that's on a school by school basis, right? So some schools require it and some schools don't. So the school in question should notify the applicant that, yes, you also need the CSS, right? But you're right. A lot of people don't even know that that's additional financial aid form they'd have to fill out.
There's a
for
lot of
middle school.
Googling. Parents are doing a lot of Googling for these dates. It's not coming easily, but I have a note to email you about that because the Rutgers one, they prefer to have it at the end of January. So the people that already submitted it, and that's a very local school. So the people that already submitted it, I don't know if they have some kind of an advantage, and this workshop wasn't until mid-January. So it's cutting it kind of close. So
Yeah, I
maybe
know
for
that,
next
I know
year-
the deadlines were tough, but I will
Yeah.
say, actually the person to contact would be Miss Asamoah. So
Okay.
if anybody out there has any questions about the FAFSA or timelines or workshops, that actually goes through Miss Asamoah's office as the supervisor of counseling, health and wellness. So she oversees the school counselors for their programming and things like that. Although I know Dr. Donovan has that background and experience, she was the one that kind of pinpointed that, hey, some of our deadlines should change because students are missing out on opportunities. So I was really grateful. She brought it to all of our attention. So hopefully moving forward, we won't have those. So if there's specific questions out there for any of those deadlines, I encourage you to reach out to Miss Asamoah with those questions.
And I wonder if that could be communicated. Is that communicated on the website? Like now is the time to really
It-
like
it
blast
should,
it. If
it should,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, I would think it would be,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's good. Thank you for the question.
Okay, finance and facilities.
We met on, finance facilities met on February 11th. We were a large group. Ann, Jen and Allison from the board. And Dr. Suska, and Mr. Rosa, and then we had administrators from the district, Ms. Rodriguez and Mr. Robinson, Mr. Lubis, Dee Dee Deitcher and John Flanagan were all in attendance. And I'll just mention a couple of highlights from the agenda topics that we discussed, and I'll go through the agenda when we get there. You'll see on there that we're voting to submit the plan for the Bartle structural repairs, the walkway there. That has to go now to the DOE, so that's on our agenda. They have to approve the plan so that we can then put into place. As part of that, we have to revise our long-range facilities plan to include the Bartle walkway and the Bartle bathroom renovation. So that's on our agenda. You'll be happy to know that the renovation of the baseball field was on our agenda, and they worked it out so that our students could use it for the spring, and then they will get into the renovations. However, they planned it out, Mr. Flanagan and the powers that be. So our sports are good for the spring. So we're very grateful for that. And you'll see on the agenda that we are accepting from the borough the next installment of the pilot money, which now is an annual thing that the borough has to do, and that we have to do to accept the money from the River Road projects. That was a pilot program, but we are getting the benefit from the tax benefit from that as well. So that's on our agenda. A good part of our meeting, I'm checking if I missed anything. A good part of our meeting was going over the budget, reviewing the budget for 25-26. And so each of the departments briefly went over their budget. And let's see, they reviewed each of their budget for our board members. And under the superintendents and business administrators, guidance, each department has taken steps to do what they can to decrease costs where possible in their budget request, in the understanding that this is a very challenging budget year for our district. Under facilities in particular, the priorities were set for the Bartle walkway, in Irving, adding the one additional pre-K room, which is partially grant funded. So we will move forward on that as well. I think some security camera integrations is on the priorities. Other needed projects are being put off in the interest of our budget. We'll have a conversation about what the next big things would be, but they're not at the moment going to be able to be done next year. And that's including the high school gutter issue and roofing issues there. There's looking for a fix for that, but it's not in this budget. There will be more detail on the budget will come through on our next meeting, March 17th is our public budget hearing. At that time, we'll go over more specifics. I think those are the highlights for the meeting. We did not, as everybody else, we did not get to the policy 9322. So I'm glad you guys are, and when you can figure it all out, we'll look at it next month, and we'll hear what you have to say, and it'll be easier for us. I think the last thing I'll say about the meeting is that the board members that were there are very much appreciative of all the work that's being done by the superintendent, our business administrator, to develop next year's budget. It is a very challenging financial situation. They are going through it line by line to see how we can bring our numbers in line without impacting significantly instruction, keeping to the priorities of the board, given the finances that there are in the state currently. So with that, I'll go through the agenda. We have a long one for, this is annoying here, 1 second. We have a long one here. The first few items are, as we typically do, approving our bill list. This is January 28th, to February 24th. For $3,849,000 roughly. We're going to be voting on recommendation to approve the preliminary report of the Treasury of School Monies up until December 31st. Same thing with the board secretary's report. Again, reporting that no budgetary line has been overextended. The Board of Education certifications, again through December 31st, 2024. On that sufficient funds are available to meet the district's obligations for the remainder of the year. Budget transfers are on there, travel and related expense reimbursements. We have some contractors for professional development. I'm looking at number 7, implementation of the 504 plans and some work for ELA teachers, grades 6 through 12. We have a very long list of professional services and related services. And these are organizations that agencies, I guess, that could provide us help when we need it. For example, in the area of getting us nurses, paraprofessionals, feeding therapies, some of our special education, many of these are special education needs, PT, OT, and speech evaluations and services. PT and OT assistance is all through white glove community care. We approve them, and then if that service is needed, our district can reach out to them to get that through Solient, LDTC. If we needed a learning disability teacher consultant, social worker, speech, teacher of the deaf, central language for interpretation services for different languages. Yoga for 8th and 9th grade students during PE classes. 4th year undergraduate psychology students to provide, sounds like some SEL work. Sleep hygiene curriculum, same people through, in our high school. Collective curriculum, I'm sorry, what Kayla Jenkins would be providing. And we are also voting on, that's accepting the money from the pilot program is number 9. Some bedside instruction for 2 students, an out-of-district placement for a student at Rutgers Day School. Also a tuition contract for a McKinney-Vento student, which is a student who's been displaced. Over at Bartle, we're voting to approve asbestos abatement. That's for the bathroom renovation that's working on, that we have in the works. A 6-month copier lease. Extension of our lease for the modular classrooms over at Irving. It's a 2-year extension. Additional cafeteria tables, a baseball field renovation, the plan for the Bartle Walkway, the long-range facilities plan, the addendum to it. The addition to it rather. And then we have one of those pass-throughs that we need to do. This is for the Children's House Montessori. And it is state funds. It's not coming out of our budget, but we need to vote on it. And it's for play yard fencing for the Montessori school. We're accepting a donation or voting to accept a donation of $11,000 from the Highland Park athletic teams for our baseball field. So thank you very much. Also, the Robotics Club has a donation of equipment from Ann Singer, $1,500. There's an approval here for the survey that we need to continue the work on the high school greenhouse. So that's on here. And the last one is voting to approve Colin, our Director of Before and After Cares, as an authorized signatory of the state subsidy agreements. So that is our agenda items. Any questions? It is a lot. Need some water. Any questions or anything?
I just want to thank again the boosters and Mr. Flanagan, Denise, the athletic team. Is that something separate for helping to get the baseball team be able to play on the field this season? I'm very, very excited and thankful for that. I know it was a lot of work.
No other questions? I'm going to go through our personnel items, which actually we have to make a note to take this off.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so for personnel, number one is the approval of withholding a salary increment for one employee for the 25-26 school year. Number two are leaves of absences for 3 employees as listed. Number three are 3 resignations. Ms. Nagy, thank you for your many, 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 many years of service here. Miss Sam Perez is just going to be resigning from Schedule B while they are doing their interim assistant principal duties. And then Ms. Wojciechowski is going to be moving on to her future. So congratulations. Approval of appointments. We have appointments for several baseball coaches. I have one read-in change for E. Cody Benton is going to be volunteering to coach high school track and field. We have Ms. Takis for the culture and climate specialist at the middle school. Mr. Robinson will be with us for a little bit longer as the supervisor of STEM. We have approvals for team treatment meetings, Irving Primary. Ms. Frischia is going to be site managing grades 2 and 3 at after school from now on. We have a new enrichment specialist for our pre-K after school program because it is growing quite a lot. So we need an enrichment specialist there. We have some interns that will be volunteering at the after school programs, providing SEL lessons for after school students. We have some peaks and valleys mentors, employees that are assisting with pre-K registration. Thank you very much. We have a music teacher for Irving and Bartle. Welcome, Miss Chibaro. We are so excited to have you. And Ms. Soler is going to be helping with some academic credit restoration. We have the approval of 2 transfers. Ms. Jobity will be moving to 3rd grade general education, and Ms. Peterson will be moving to 1st grade ICR math. We have the approval of an independent study program at the high school, Ms. Fantry. And then we have 2 additional sections. One, Ms. Powell Williams will be doing period 3 ICR, and then Ms. Kovalis will be doing a period 4 GLOW. Thank you for taking on the extra section. We know that it is a lot. And that is it for personnel. Questions? All right, and then for policies, we have the policies listed in number 1 are moving for 2nd reading. And these were policies that we had discussed at our January meeting. And that's it for policy. Okay. We are going to move to our 2nd public comment. Once I find it. Here we are. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved this time for your comments. Board policy number 0167 establishes and regulates the right of the public to participate in public meetings. Is there anybody in person for public comment? Okay. We just look at the one. Angela, how many people do we have online? Okay, if anybody on our Zoom would like to raise their hand for public comment, please do so now.
Hi, this is Abby Stern Cardinal. I just wanted to say that I'm really encouraged seeing, this was earlier in the meeting, the data about SSDS, and I'm really happy to see that trend from last year to this year. So I would love to see that highlighted to the greater community because I think it's important to show the growth there. I was also wondering if it's on the website anywhere because it would, again, be great for people to see the improvement so that we can make sure people are seeing that. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anybody else who would like to make public comment, please raise your hand. Okay. So you made it like, you kind of moved a little bit and I was like, I don't know what that means. All right, so with no hands raised, we are going to close public comment. Okay, we'll move to our board action items, starting with curriculum and instruction.
I'd like to move items 1 through 5.
Second?
Dr. Beatty,
Yes.
Ms. Cassel Dunn,
Yes.
Dr. Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Prus,
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman,
Yes.
Ms. Stanio,
Yes.
Ms. Vardaman,
Yes.
Ms. Voorhees.
Yes on all, but abstain on 2B.
Equity and excellence.
Yes, I would like to read in a resolution, move that. So I'm going to read in resolution to designate campuses as safe places for students and families targeted for immigration enforcement. Here we go. Whereas ensuring that our schools are safe and inviting for all students and their families and ensuring the physical safety, am I too close? And emotional well-being of all children at the Highland Park Public School District, Highland Park, is a vital requirement for Highland Park to advance its mission. And whereas this safe and inviting environment would be disrupted by the presence of immigration agents who come onto Highland Park property for the purposes of removing students or their family members or obtaining information about students and their families. Whereas Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, activities in and around schools. Oh, are you not hearing me at all?
Yeah, just in case.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so whereas Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE activities in and around schools would be a severe disruption to the learning environment and educational setting for students. Therefore, I'm sorry, I think I might have missed that. I think I missed a couple of sentences there. I'm sorry, I have to go back. Whereas this safe and inviting environment would be disrupted by the presence of immigration agents who come onto Highland Park property for the purposes of removing students or their family members or obtaining information about students and their families. Whereas Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, activities in and around schools would be severe disruption to the learning environment and educational setting for students. Therefore, be it resolved that the Highland Park Board of Education hereby declares that every Highland Park school is a safe place for its students and their families to seek help, assistance, and information if faced with fear and anxiety about immigration enforcement efforts. Resolve further that the board encourages the superintendent to increase and enhance partnerships with community-based organizations and legal services organizations who provide resources for families facing deportation. Resolve further that the board encourages the superintendent to create in-language, know your rights presentations for students and family members to cover their rights regarding interactions with law enforcement and immigration agents. Resolve further that the board encourages the superintendent to connect with a rapid response network to assist students or their family members who have been detained. Resolve further, in order to provide a public education, regardless of a child's or family member's immigration status, absent any applicable federal, state, or local law, regulation, ordinance, or court decision, Highland Park shall abide by the following conduct. 1, Highland Park personnel shall not inquire about or record a student's or a family member's immigration status, and pursuant to the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, shall not disclose without parental consent the immigration status of any student or other personally identifiable information. 2, Any request by an immigration official, A, for entry into a Highland Park school or other Highland Park property. B, to communicate with any student while that student is under the supervision of Highland Park during any school program or activity, or while using Highland Park sponsored transportation. Or C, for any information about our students shall be immediately forwarded to Highland Park's legal counsel for consideration. In considering such requests, Highland Park's legal counsel will not authorize the sharing of information or access to students unless required by law, and will prioritize the constitutional and legal rights of Highland Park's students and families. 3, Highland Park shall refuse all information sharing with immigration agents across all aspects of the district to the fullest extent possible under the law. 4, any request by immigration agents for information or to access a school site shall be initially denied and immediately forwarded to the superintendent and legal counsel for review and a decision on whether to reverse the denial and allow access to the site, and or a decision on whether the information will ensure Highland Park's compliance with applicable laws. The request must be provided with adequate notice so that the superintendent and legal counsel can take steps to provide for the emotional and physical safety of its students and staff. A, should an immigration agent request access to a school site, the superintendent and or legal counsel shall ask for the immigration agent's credentials, ask the agent why the agent is requesting access, and ask to see a warrant signed by a federal or state judge. B, immigration agents must provide written authority from ICE instructing them to enter any Highland Park site and for what purpose, as well as a warrant signed by a federal or state judge which specifies the name of the person under arrest. 5, Highland Park will not enter into agreements with state or local law enforcement agencies, ICE, or any other federal agency for the enforcement of federal immigration law except as required by law. 6, staff are prohibited from inquiring about or recording any information regarding an individual's immigration status or country of birth. 7, Highland Park personnel shall treat all students equitably in the receipt of all school services, including but not limited to the free and reduced lunch program, transportation, and educational instruction. 8, Highland Park will offer A, informational resources and in-district counseling services that adequately acknowledges the impact of immigration status on students and their family members. And B, know your rights presentations to students and parents in their preferred language. And C, the district will ensure that students are aware of opportunities to gain access to college, in-state tuition, financial aid, scholarships, internships, and career opportunities regardless of their status. 9, Highland Park shall offer training to district and school teachers and staff on the rights of immigrant and undocumented students, the importance of supporting the needs of immigrant students and families, and on policies adopted by the district to promote a safe and welcoming learning environment. Almost done. Resolved further that the superintendent shall ensure that all teachers, school administrators, and other staff will be trained on how to implement this policy and notification in no less than the top languages spoken by the students throughout the district to be distributed to families to fully inform them of their rights in the district. Resolved further, within the next 30 days, the superintendent is encouraged to develop a plan for training teachers, administrators, and other staff on how to respond to ICE personnel who are requesting information about students and families and or attempting to enter school property. The plan shall also include procedures for notifying families about ICE efforts to gain information about students and families and how to support students whose family members have been displaced because of ICE. This plan shall be communicated to all school district families in all supported languages. Resolved further and lastly, the superintendent is encouraged to prepare an implementation plan defining partnerships with community organizations and training and support for school site employees to ensure rapid response and effective coordination and report back to the board in 30 days. Thank you. I have to move it. So I would like to move resolution to designate let me get it right. Resolution to designate campuses as safe places for students and families targeted for immigration enforcement.
Second.
Second.
Dr. Beatty,
Yes.
Ms. Cassel Dunn,
Yes.
Dr. Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Prus,
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman,
Yes.
Ms. Stanio,
Yes.
Ms. Vardaman,
Yes.
Ms. Voorhees.
Yes.
Finance and facilities.
I move items 1 to 24 under finance and facilities.
Second.
Dr. Beatty,
Yes.
Ms. Cassel Dunn,
Yes.
Dr. Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Prus,
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman,
Yes.
Ms. Stanio,
Yes.
Ms. Vardaman,
Yes.
Ms. Voorhees.
Yes.
For personnel, I would like to move items 1 through 7.
Second.
Maryland?
Marilyn,
Yeah,
Okay.
we both did. It's fine.
Right.
And also-
sorry. Dr. Beatty,
Yes.
Ms. Cassel Dunn,
Yes.
Dr. Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Prus,
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman,
Yes.
Ms. Stanio,
Yes.
Ms. Vardaman,
Yes.
Ms. Voorhees.
Yes.
And for policies and regulations, I'd like to move number 1.
Second.
Dr. Beatty,
Yes.
Ms. Cassel Dunn,
Yes.
Dr. Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Prus,
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman,
Yes.
Ms. Stanio,
Yes.
Ms. Vardaman,
Yes.
Ms. Voorhees.
Yes.
All right, that concludes our action items. Does anyone have a board liaison report?
I just have a brief, I'm sorry, did someone else have one? A brief statement from the Board of Health. They're just asking if there's anything that we would like them to be prioritizing right now, just to let them know that they would love to be a resource for us.
I was just saying mental health would be the next priority.
Is that for
I
board members
agree.
or students?
I don't remember. I think-
I was gonna say, but I didn't want to say it now. Yes.
Use this.
Hold up, can we save this? We'll save it for new business. If we
Oh,
can.
well, it was a response to,
Can
oh,
we-
okay, that
I
should
don't know,
be.
can we like discuss in response to the liaison report? You're giving me the face. No, we have to. She's giving me the face.
You
got the
an
face.
email.
So
It
we'll
doesn't need to
talk
be
about
discussed.
business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We could also do an email.
Yeah.
But it seems like we all agree. Okay, and then, I didn't, oh yeah, and nobody else, right? Okay. I do not have a president's report except to say, that the board kit is available online for anybody that wants to run to be a board member. So if you're thinking about it, it is available on the NJSBA website. Old business. New business. Okay, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in
everyone.
favor?
Aye.
Good night.